Hi, I'm Mr. Rosengrant, and we have with us today Breanna Seitz, the Assistant Director of Admissions, Student Affairs, and Enrollment Management at Millersville University in Pennsylvania. Breanna, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So we wanted to talk today a little bit about transfer admissions. A lot of our high school students will graduate high school and many of them will choose to go off to college. Some students will go right into a four-year school and work on a bachelor's degree. But some other students might choose to start off at one school and then transfer to another school. A lot of students might want to go to a community college like Harrisburg Area Community College, maybe even get an associate's degree and then transfer to a four-year college like Millersville University or any other four-year college to finish up a bachelor's degree. So I wanted to talk to you today to kind of discuss what students need to know about the community college transfer admissions process and how students can avoid some common pitfalls that might kind of come up along the way. So before we do that, can you just give us a real brief introduction to Millersville University, a little background on its history, and a little bit about what a PASHE school is?
Yes, of course. So Millersville University is one of the 14 public institutions in PA, which is covered under PASHE, which, like it said, a public institution in PA. Those are all state-funded schools that are covered under the PASHE program. Millersville does have more than 100 programs for students to choose from within that system. We also have about 250 acres of campus, just to give you an idea of what our campus feel is like versus some of the others. Our school, Millersville University, actually started as an education school back in 1855. And education is still to this day something that we do really well at Millersville. We have really anything within education that a student would want to study with us. So that's just a little bit about Millersville as a whole. We are covered under the PASHE system with 14 schools.
For those students that are kind of on the fence and they're thinking about maybe going to a four-year school or maybe starting off at a community college and then going to a four-year school, what are some things that they need to be aware of? And what are some of the maybe common pitfalls that students might run into?
I think the most common thing that I see transfer students kind of trying to juggle or figure out whether or not they want to transfer or not. My biggest suggestion for them would be to figure out what they want to do, what their end career goals are. And that kind of goes along with choosing your major. And the reason that I say that is because depending on what program that you're interested in studying is going to dictate what program you should be in at the associate's degree level when you're still at a community college like HAC. So that way that you're taking the correct classes while you're at that community college in order for the classes to transfer nicely into a program at your four-year institution. So making sure that you're looking into your end career goals and possible major. And then the other biggest thing that I want students to look into is going to be cost and scholarship information along with that. So with that, at certain schools and as well as at Millersville, I can speak for Millersville, is that we don't have as many scholarship opportunities for transfer students as we do for freshman students, but you are saving a lot of money by going to a community college first. So just looking at your financial aid packages, determining, cost-wise and scholarship-wise, what is going to be your best choice, whether that be going into a four-year school first or starting at a community college. There's pros and cons to both, but I think looking into your major and your career goals and then also your scholarship and cost are going to be kind of the two biggest categories when you're looking at transferring versus not.
Okay, and another thing that we want to make sure students are aware of is that every school is different and every school has their own different rules. And we really would hate to see a student have a plan in their own mind, but maybe not communicate that well to the school. And they take some classes and earn some credits and pay some money out in tuition and then come to find out that maybe that stuff doesn't transfer to the school that they were looking to go to. So can you tell us a little bit about what is an articulation agreement? What does that do? And do all colleges have them? Are there some colleges or even specific majors within a college that would not allow credits to be transferred in?
Good question. Yeah. So this is the biggest concern, obviously, of transfer students is how my credits will transfer and making sure that you're following a path that you're not losing money or your time when you're taking the courses. So we have articulation agreements with many different schools. One of the most popular for Millersville being Harrisburg Area Community College. An articulation agreement is an agreement between two schools, and that may be a program to program articulation agreement or a course by course articulation agreement. You'd have to look into the school that you're going to determine, what schools they have articulation agreements with. Not every school has articulation agreements either. So that's why it's important to look into each individual school that you're interested in transferring to. Millersville also offers check sheets for our HAC students. So what those are is a course by course guideline to tell students what courses to take, how they'll transfer to Millersville. And that actually puts our students then at junior standing when they come into Millersville after they earn their associate's degree. So those you can look up on HAC's website as well as our website to be able to see the program you're interested in and how all of those courses will transfer over. And it's nice because it tells you exactly what to take. There's no guessing in it, which is why we're trying to save students that time and money aspect of it. So that way you're not taking courses that you don't need.
So if students communicate with the college that they're going to and the one that they're intending to transfer to right up front from the beginning, they can find out all that information to make sure that the classes that they're taking are indeed going to count at the school they're transferring to.
Correct. Every school is going to have a transfer counselor of some sort, and that's who you'd want to be contacting to make sure that you're taking the exact courses that you need. And they'll be able to tell you whether or not they have an articulation agreement with a school that you're interested in.
And can you tell us a little bit about for-profit colleges? Because we know there's different types of colleges. There's nonprofit schools and there's for-profit schools. And there's a few different for-profit schools here in our area as well. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works as far as transfer credits? Because from what I understand, some colleges might accept credits from some for-profits, but not from all. How does that work?
Right. So I can speak for how Millersville accepts different kinds of credits. We don't differentiate between for-profit and or nonprofit schools because it's dependent on the accreditation that the school has, and that's how we accept credit. So, for example, we are Middle States accredited at Millersville. So most schools in this general area are going to be accredited by Middle States. But for example, York Technical Institute is not accredited by Middle States. They are accredited by a career association, which are credits that we cannot accept from that accrediting body. So for us, it depends on the association that they're accredited by. It also depends on the type of credit that it is. We actually have a transfer equivalency page on our website where you can go and look and see specifically how credits transfer from any school and how it transfers to Millersville. So it'll give you a nice little chart for you to see the credits that you took, how it transfers to Millersville, and what it's being applied to. So that's another resource to look at on our website. A lot of schools also offer this kind of resource where you can go on and see how the credits will transfer even before you apply to the school. So it is going to be a good idea to kind of look around at the different resources on each school's website for transfer students specifically.
Can you give us an overview of the admissions for transfer students? What's the application process? What are some of the minimum requirements that they would need to be considered a transfer student? Any kind of minimum cutoff GPA, that sort of thing?
Yeah, we are trying to keep it really simple for transfer students because in most cases, students have applied to other schools before they are arriving as a transfer student. And I'll just go ahead and define a transfer student for us too, because every single college defines a transfer student differently, but we define it at Millersville as anybody that has attempted or earned credit after graduating from high school. And that includes military students because we do give credit for any military coursework that a student has taken. So as soon as you determine that you're definitely a transfer student, you need to submit an application online to us. The Millersville University application is option number 1 on our website, and we always suggest to transfer students to fill that one out. Don't fill the Common App out. It's just a little bit more confusing for transfer students. So fill out the application online. We need all official transcripts from every institution that you've attended. So if you took or earned credit at 3 different institutions, you're going to need to request an official transcript directly from that school to send to Millersville. Sometimes students can get confused that the credits are on the newest transcript that they earned credit through, but every school accepts credit differently. So it is important to make sure that you send each individual transcript to us. The only time that I'm going to ask for anything additional other than official college transcripts are if a student has below a 2.0 GPA on their college GPA or below 12 earned transferable credits. So that's the minimum requirements for our transfer students. Really clear cut, 2.0 on a 4.0 scale and 12 or more earned credits. If you have below those 2 things, the only additional thing I'm going to ask for is going to be a final high school transcript. I'm not going to ask for test scores. I'm not going to ask for an essay from transfer students or any kind of recommendation letters. Those are all not required of a transfer student. We just try to keep it really to the point and simple for transfer students.
And are there different requirements for some specific majors? Sometimes schools will have their admission requirements that are kind of general for most majors, and then maybe nursing or engineering might have a few extra things in there. Is there anything like that at Millersville?
Yeah, that is a common question that I get all the time. We do not have additional requirements when it comes to, say, like GPA or credits earned. We do have for our music and our art departments, if you're applying to one of those majors, music does require an additional audition in order to be admitted into the major that you schedule through the department, through the music department. And then the art department does require an art portfolio as well in order to be admitted directly into the art program. But there is no additional type GPA or test scores or anything like that that are required.
Are there specific classes that need to be taken before you transfer? So some schools would require that you take some knowledge-based courses prior to the transfer in. Is that something that you require, or is it just any of those 12 credits?
There is no specific course requirements in order to be admitted to the university. Now, of course, I have a lot of students that ask me specifically what courses to take just because of how they apply to the major that they're interested in. But as for admissions requirements, there is no specific course that you need to take within that 12 credit that I spoke about.
And can you give us some brief information on tuition and financial aid and options for transfer students with the financial aid side of things?
Yeah, so I can speak on the tuition cost. So for this upcoming year, for in-state students, because we are a public institution in PA, we do have out-of-state costs versus in-state costs. And there is about a $10,000 difference between our in-state costs and our out-of-state. So for in-state students annually, it is going to be, they just released these recently. So it is $23,474. And that is for a full-time student annually to go to Millersville right now. As for any kind of like financial aid information, what we suggest to students is that you fill out the FAFSA. As long as you fill that information out, you will get a financial aid package from our financial aid office. Usually it arrives about 2 to 3 weeks after you've officially been admitted to the university. But as long as you filled out that FAFSA and you've listed Millersville as one of the schools on that application, you will get a federal aid package created for you. In regards to meeting with a loan counselor in our financial aid department, I highly suggest that to every student. Us in admissions aren't going to have access to all of those different things, but you can request an appointment one-on-one with a counselor to go through every line on your financial aid package that you receive.
And just to clarify, that 23,000 a year that's tuition and room and board included?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yep. So that is if you were living on campus. If you were not going to live on campus annually, it's $10,342 as the estimated cost if you were not going to live on campus in our on-campus dorms.
And I can say I just was on the campus recently, and those dorms are beautiful. They have some all new, wonderful facilities there, so it's really nice.
Yes, they're nothing like the traditional type dorms that even I had when I was in school, where you shared a community bathroom at the end of the hall. They're nothing like that. They're all suite style, so you're not sharing a bathroom with the whole hall. You have a lot of privacy in the standard rooms that we offer to students.
Yeah, they're great. My last question is about support programs for transfer students. So what services are there available for students on campus as they're coming in to get that extra kind of counseling and support and kind of help them with that transfer process?
Yes, of course. So we offer what are called transition sessions. They previously were offered in person, but because of the pandemic, we started offering them virtually, like many other schools I know are switching the way that they're learning or receiving different kinds of resources. So the transition sessions are geared to do what they're called, so to help students transition into Millersville. So my colleague, her name's Danielle, she's one of the other transfer counselors at Millersville. She works with students who have been deposited to Millersville and decided they definitely want to come. And she meets with them virtually, where they'll have a group setting virtually online, where they'll talk about things like housing, registration, academic advisement, how to get your parking pass, just all of those processing elements that sometimes you don't think about as you transition to a school. She's there to help facilitate that, to make sure that you have all the resources that you need. We also have what's called our Marauder Arrival Program, or MAP program, which is also an online resource to all of our students. And it's specific to transfer students in one element as well. That also walks you through all the different forms, all the different ways to submit materials that are needed of you before you transition. Also to show you how to use your Millersville accounts, which is where you would register for classes, fill out your housing application, all of that good stuff. And then we also have a transfer orientation specifically for transfer students, where they'll come in and they can do more of the social aspect of things, where you're meeting other transfer students as well, to kind of get to know your surroundings, maybe walk around campus and see where your classes would be. And that is done right before you would arrive to the university.
All right, Breanna. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing a lot of information with us about things that students need to know if they're thinking about starting off at a 2-year college before they transfer into a 4-year school.
Yeah, of course. Happy to help.
Thank you.